Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Radio Night Crime. Before you drift off, let me know in the comments where you're listening from. If you're enjoying the stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's relax and jump into tonight's story. Our first tale begins in the Tahoe National Forest near Donner Lake, a place where the trees stand tall and the past lingers like a stubborn fog. What if I told you that the whispers you hear in the wind aren't just the breeze, but the voices of those who never left? Imagine Emily Foster, a young woman seeking solitude, parking her RV beneath the towering pines last summer. She wanted to escape her life, to prove she could face her fears alone. But the forest had other plans. As dusk settled, she heard it, a faint murmur, soft as a sigh, drifting through the trees. It wasn't the wind, no, it was something older, something restless, calling her name in a voice she couldn't place. And so begins our journey into the night, where the line between the living and the lost blurs ever so gently. Emily's first night was calm, the kind of stillness that wraps around you like a blanket. She set up her camp, her camera ready to capture the beauty of the Sierra Nevada. But as she lay in her bunk, the whispers grew clearer, not just sounds but words, fragmented and mournful. She told herself it was her imagination, a trick of the forest. Yet sleep came slowly, her ears straining for every rustle. By morning, she ventured out, hiking a trail unmarked and wild, the pines stretching endlessly above her. She snapped photos of the golden light filtering through the branches, but then she saw her, a woman in a faded jacket, her hat casting shadows over a face too still to be real. The woman's voice was soft, a warning. "You shouldn't stay here too long." Emily blinked, and the figure was gone, leaving only the echo of her words hanging in the air. She brushed it off, her stubbornness pushing her deeper into the woods, unaware that the forest was watching. The day wore on, and the forest seemed to shift. Paths twisted, landmarks repeated, and Emily's calm began to fray. She found a knife buried in the earth, rusted yet sharp, its leather handle worn by time. She photographed it, left it behind, but the whispers followed her back to camp. By nightfall, they were louder, circling her RV like a chorus of unseen watchers. She clutched her flashlight, peering through the windows as shadows danced just beyond the glass. Her name came again, Emily, spoken in a voice that chilled her to the bone. She locked the door, her heart pounding, the forest pressing in closer. She didn't sleep that night, the whispers weaving a tapestry of unease around her. Something was out there, something tied to the land, and it wasn't letting her go. She didn't know it yet, but she'd stumbled into a story older than she could imagine. Morning brought no relief. The RV wouldn't start, its battery drained despite being fully charged. Emily's resolve wavered, but she refused to give in. She packed her gear, determined to hike out. But the forest had other ideas. The trails looped endlessly, the trees leaning in as if to trap her. She heard the whispers again, louder now, guiding her to a stone slab half buried in the dirt. The name etched into it read, Eleanor Pierce, 1847, a relic of the Donner Party's grim tale. Symbols circled the grave, spirals and arrows scratched into the earth, and the air grew heavy. Emily's breath caught as she realized the whispers weren't random. They were Eleanor's, calling from a past that refused to rest. She stood frozen, the forest holding its breath, waiting for her next move. She wasn't alone anymore, and she knew it. Night fell again, and the phenomena escalated. The RV's stove flared to life on its own, flames licking the air before Emily doused them. Her camera clicked, capturing blurry faces in the dark, anguished and fleeting. Then she saw her, the woman from the trail, standing outside the window, her tattered jacket swaying in a wind that didn't touch the trees. Her face was obscured, but her presence was a weight, a silent demand. Emily's fear turned to resolve. She grabbed the knife she'd found and returned to the grave. The whispers swelled as she placed it on the stone, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry. You're not alone anymore." The air stilled, the forest sighed, and the figure vanished. By dawn, the RV roared to life, and Emily drove away, the whispers fading into memory. She'd faced her fears, but the forest had left its mark, a shadow lingering in her dreams. Now, let's drift to Death Valley, where the sun scorches the earth and the night hides secrets in its vast emptiness. What if I told you there's a stretch of road called Devil's Highway, where the lost don't just wander, but wait. Picture Alex Monroe, a journalist with a skeptic's heart, pulling his RV onto that desolate path last June. He came to debunk the myths, to prove the stories of Furnace Flats were just desert tales, but the sand had a way of shifting truth. As the sun dipped low, painting the dunes in crimson, he felt the road change. Landmarks vanished, signs appeared, then faded, and his engine sputtered to a halt. Stranded under a starlit sky, he saw headlights in the distance, a flicker of hope, or so he thought. Our tale unfolds here, where the line between reality and legend thins. Alex stepped into the heat, the air thick and dry, as he tried to cool the radiator with what little water he had. It was no use. The RV was dead, and the silence pressed against him. The headlights grew closer, but they weren't a car. They were a lantern, held by a man in a long coat, his hat shadowing his face. "Evening," the man said, his voice steady as stone. "You look like you could use some help." Alex's unease grew, but he followed the stranger down a dirt path, the lantern's pale glow cutting through the dark. The desert stretched endlessly, the wind carrying whispers he couldn't decipher. They crested a ridge, and below lay Furnace Flats, its shacks shimmering like a mirage. Alex blinked, and they vanished, only to reappear as if the valley itself was breathing. He felt the weight of unseen eyes, but the man just smiled, thin and knowing. The settlement was wrong. The air smelled of rust. The ground shifted beneath Alex's boots. He ventured toward the mine, the whispers growing louder, urgent, overlapping in a chorus of despair. Inside, the darkness swallowed his flashlight's beam, and something moved, too fast to track. The entrance disappeared, the walls closing in, and a figure emerged. Its eyes glowed like embers, its voice a growl. "You shouldn't be here." Alex's heart raced, the sand pulling at his feet as the figure loomed closer. "There's a price," it hissed, its form twisting into something monstrous. He refused to answer, focusing on the lantern's distant glow. He dragged himself out, the whispers clawing at his mind, the figure trailing behind. He made it back to the ridge, the man gone, the night still. Back at the RV, the engine roared to life as if mocking his ordeal. Alex drove until dawn, the desert sprawling behind him, its secrets intact. He never wrote the article, the footage too raw to share. The lantern man lingered in his thoughts, a guide or a trap. He couldn't tell. The whispers followed him home, faint but persistent, a reminder of the price he'd refused to pay. The desert doesn't forget, and neither could he. Furnace Flats stayed with him, a shadow on the edge of his vision. He'd sought truth, but found something older, something that waited in the silence. He left Devil's Highway behind, but it never truly left him. Sleep now, let the sand settle, and dream of the road untraveled. Let's wander now to Yosemite's Mariposa Grove, where ancient sequoias stand as silent sentinels. What if I told you these trees guard more than just the earth, but a spirit born of vengeance? Envision Maya Lopez, a young woman on a trip with her boyfriend Ben and friends last October, parking their RV among the giants. They came to bond, to hike among the towering trunks, but the grove held a darker purpose. Jonah, the folklore enthusiast, spoke of a guardian spirit, once a protector, now a curse. Its presence lingered in the carvings on the trees, warding symbols etched by hands long gone. As dusk fell, a faint whistling drifted through the camp. Not wind, but something deliberate. Maya felt it first, the weight of being watched, and our story takes root here, beneath the shadowed boughs. The first day was peaceful, the sequoias stretching skyward, their bark rough against Maya's hands. She snapped photos, Ben's laughter echoing through the grove, but the whistling returned that night, soft, circling their camp. It unnerved her. Jonah's eyes gleamed as he traced a carving near their clearing, an eye-like symbol, jagged and old. "It's a warning," he said, his voice low. Sadie, Ben's sister, saw something in the dark, a figure with antlers, too tall to be a deer. They brushed it off, but the forest grew colder, the trees pressing closer. Maya's unease deepened, the whistling weaving through her dreams. She woke to find more carvings, twisted and fresh, as if the grove itself was marking them. The spirit was waking, and they were in its domain. By morning, the trails shifted, markers vanished, thickets blocked their path, and the air grew heavy. Sadie shivered, her bravado gone, as they spotted a deer, its head twitching unnaturally. Night brought the spirit fully into view. A humanoid shape with amber eyes and antlers, its form shifting like smoke. It mimicked their voices, calling Ben into the dark. They chased him down, but Jonah's calm fractured. "It demands an offering," he said, clutching his journal. The carvings multiplied, the whistling a constant hum. Maya's heart pounded as the spirit loomed closer, its presence a weight on her chest. They couldn't outrun it, not here. The grove tightened its grip, the trees whispering their own secrets. Jonah made his choice. He stayed behind, offering himself to the spirit, his journal pressed into Maya's hands. "Tell people," he said, his voice steady as he faced the figure. They fled, the grove sighing as they broke free. The RV roared to life, the whistling fading into the distance. Maya read Jonah's journal later, its final pages written in his hand, detailing events after his death. The spirit lingered in her mind, its amber eyes watching for memory. She hears the whistling still, faint and distant, a reminder of the price paid. The grove stands silent now, its guardian appeased. But for how long? Sleep now, let the sequoias cradle you, their roots deep and still. Finally, let's settle near Devil's Gate Dam in Pasadena, where concrete meets the occult. What if I told you the shadows here don't just fall, but follow? Picture Elliot Graves, an amateur historian camping by the dam a few months ago, his RV parked in the quiet arroyo. He came to debunk the tales of rituals and vanishings, camera in hand, but the dam hummed with a life of its own. The first night, whispers drifted from the structure, faint and fragmented. He found burnt papers with cryptic symbols. their edges curling like secrets. Ray, a worker, warned him to leave, but Elliot stayed, drawn to the mystery. Our final tale begins here, where the past reaches out with shadowed hands. The whispers grew louder, calling Elliot's name in voices not his own. His camera failed, the dam's hum rhythmic and alive. He saw a figure, tall and dark, standing motionless by the edge. Sleep eluded him, the RV's lights flickering as the whispers pressed in. He woke at the dam, barefoot, the burnt papers in his hand, no memory of leaving. His footage showed him walking in the night, his eyes empty, his smile wrong. The shadow man appeared again, pointing to the dam, its form rippling like smoke. The RV shook, the whispers a roar. Elliot drew a symbol from the papers, and the chaos stilled. He fled, the dam's gaze lingering, the shadows trailing behind. Back home, a package arrived, his camera intact, with footage of him surrounded by twisted figures, his eyes glowing. He smashed it, but the whispers remained, soft and persistent. Devil's Gate didn't let go, its secrets etched into his mind. He hears them still, a reminder of what he couldn't debunk. The dam stands quiet now, its shadows waiting for the next curious soul. Sleep now, let the concrete cool, the night wrapping you in its gentle embrace. These stories, these whispers, are yours to dream as midnight rituals fades into the dark. Good night.